Hello everybody and welcome back. Today I'm just going to do this video. Today is the very last day of February. So I'm going to be taking this firearm. This is the Ep.17 Pt.1. I'm going to be taking this firearm. I'm going to change out the grips back to the original grips so that the wood grips stay home here. And I'm going to be getting this upgraded, completely upgraded. It should cost me anywhere between $100, $150 at the most to get it, to get the work done. I already have the parts, and I just have the slides open just to show you that this firearm, it's empty. It's been checked. It's empty. There's no magazine and all that kind of stuff. So I'm going to show you, we're going to drop the slide, and I'm going to do the decocker. So that's how you carry it. And everybody should know that if you've been watching this channel. So that's how you carry. So your first trigger pull is a heavy trigger pull. You have some take up play here, and then you hit a wall, and then you have a heavy trigger pull to pull this hammer back and then have it fire the gun. And I have this, my son got me this. It's just a little a trigger pull weight scale, thing. So what we're going to do, I'm going to turn it upside down, and we're going to do, at least 2 pulls, and this will be in double action, just to show you how heavy this trigger pull is for the first pull, when you would carry it like this. So we'll turn it upside down here like this. Okay, and I'm going to bring this to the trigger and put it in the middle, and we're going to pull it back. That is, if you can see that, hopefully it stays in focus. That first trigger pull was roughly 9 3/4 to 9.5 pounds. That's for that one. So we'll pull it back, half cock again. That's the way it would be again. And we'll do a second one. Zero this out. And we'll do a second one just to do 2 checks. I'm not going to do 3. Do it the same way. Just going to pull it back. And that one is exactly the same thing. It's actually a little bit more of 9.5. So that first trigger pull is 9.5 pounds. So now once the slide slides, back, after you shoot it, now you have single action. So now you have the triggers all the way back like that. So let's check that one. We'll zero this up again. And I'll pull that trigger. Now you're talking 4 1/4, or roughly 4 for your single action. So that's after you do that initial hard trigger pull. And we'll do that a second time just to verify. Same way. Same thing. Now that one was about 4 1/2. So that first initial trigger pull is that's heavy. And actually every time I do that at the range, because I do practice that, and that will be your first shot. Every time I do that at the range, I'm always slightly off target because of that heavy trigger pull. And that's the whole reason that I got double action, single action, hammer fired pistol, is because I want that heavier trigger pull, but I don't want it quite that heavy. That's a little too heavy for me. That's revolver heavy. So, you want that to be able to think twice before you go and pull that trigger, and so that you don't have a hair trigger and all that stuff. But what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be upgrading. You've heard people talk about Cajunizing. Well, there's another company other than Cajun Gunworks. There's quite a few. And I'm just going to name, you've heard of Cajun Gunworks, but there's a company called M. Carbo. And everything is made in the United States. So I'd gotten there, over time, I'd gotten there a few packs for this firearm. This is just a stainless steel guide rod. Because it's got a plastic guide rod, so I'll put a stainless steel guide rod. I could put that in it myself, but I'm going to hold off on that for until the work is done. Then this is a very small part. This is a floating trigger pin. So I'd gotten that, and that's this pin right here. So that goes in, and it just makes it a little easier if the gun needs to be worked on. And it just makes things easier. And then this is the CZ75 trigger spring kit, and it's for the decocker models, which is what this is. Now you can look up M. Carbo, and you can look up CZ75 trigger spring kit decocker model, and they have a video of the guy putting it in. This is supposed to be a do-it-yourself thing. But he even says on the video, it's not to put it in a strange way, faint of heart. It's not for the faint of heart. It's not the easiest thing in the world, especially on the decocker model. And they even suggest on the back, it says, we advise that all parts purchased from our inventory be installed and inspected by a qualified gunsmith. Modifying your weapon may be prohibited in your state. Before installing, please be sure to check all local, state, and federal laws. By installing this part, you agree to take full responsibility for any and all legal, health, and warranty consequences that may incur. So they guarantee their parts. Their parts are guaranteed, but they're not going to take responsibility if you don't look at the laws. And I don't live in a state that has laws like that. I can modify my firearm within reason with stuff like this because it's legally sold and it's not making it unsafe or a race gun. I can do that in the state that I live in. And all the parts are in here. And basically what it is I have this note that I'll be giving. I may talk to him, but I'll leave this note in there just so that he knows. The first thing will be, whole upgrade parts on the slide. And that'll be the firing pin, retaining pin. That's this little pin here. Because even CZ says that this pin is prone to fail because it's just a late roll pin. But CZ wants you to buy a pack of their pins and have you replace it with their pins. Well, in the M. Carbo pin, it's a roll pin, but it's a whole lot harder steel and it won't fail. So they'll change that. The firing pin spring and the firing pin block stop spring. That'll get changed out. And then when it comes to this decocker part, the pin and spring kit is the hammer spring, the trigger return spring, the sear spring, the floating trigger pin. And M. Carbo has an install video for the decocker model to make things easier, not that you will need it. And then it just has my name and all that stuff. So I'll be giving them that and getting this upgraded. That should roughly make the initial double action pull, instead of it being 9.5 pounds, it should lower that to about 5.5 pounds. So that initial, long trigger, pull for double action will be a whole lot more comfortable, and you should be a little bit more accurate. And then all the single actions should lower that to, maybe another half an ounce or something like half a pound, I should say. So that should bring that down to somewhere around 4, maybe a little less, 4 pounds, maybe 3, 4.5 to 3, somewhere in that range. It all depends on your individual firearm. So it'll make that, that single action training spool a lot easier. So, this you have, but you still have the take up, which I don't mind that. It'll help with that too. But that little trigger pull is like nothing. That I have no problem with that. It's this initial, and let's pull it back here so that you have it. We'll pull it all the way back, drop it. All right, so that you know. Now this initial, you have to take up, and then you have a long, heavy pull. Well, when you're doing that, you have a tendency you'll move the gun because of that long trigger pull. And the guy on the video, he does the initial test with the hammer all the way down. You don't carry it like that. That's not the way you carry it. So that's not an accurate thing. And he's getting on his scale like a 10 pound or more because he's doing it from all the way back here. See where there's no take up at all, and then pulling the hammer all the way back. Well, that's not a true accuracy test of weight because you wouldn't carry it like that. That's the way I'm looking at it. But it will make this a whole lot easier to pull. So, and I'm going to have it done by a gunsmith simply because other than this part, with the guide rod, I mean, you have to change that every time you clean the gun. All this shit, all these springs and all these small little things, and I don't have the tools. I mean, you've got some really small springs in here. I don't have the tools for one, and I don't have the expertise. And I figure it's just safer, like they say on the back, on those red, things, that just let a gunsmith do it. That's what people do when they have their gun. You could buy the same parts from Cage and Gun Works and do it yourself, or you can send it in to Cage and Gun Works and they'll do it. But if you do that, if you send it in, and now it's going to cost you even more money because you have to have an FFL send it, and then you have to pay for shipping, and then you have to pay the FFL fee for them to send it and all that because they're not going to do it for free, and then have the work done, and then it gets sent back, and then you have to pay that, and it ends up costing you $400 just to get your gun upgraded with a $28 kit. So if I take it to my local gunsmith, he can do it, and he'll only charge me $100, $150 at the most. And it's a lot cheaper, and it's locally, it's not going through the mail. And then this way I also have, he'll have a worksheet of all the work that he did, what he installed. I'll tell him to save, because these are Ziploc bags underneath of this stuff. I'll have him save all the parts, put them in the bags, and then I'll have a receipt. Then if I ever have to do, hopefully not, hopefully I never have to do that. If I have to use this in self-defense inside of my home, I don't want some district attorney coming and saying, well, we did a forensic analysis on that handgun and those aren't original parts. You've upgraded it and all that. What do you think you know more than CZ? Because they pull that shit. And then you made the gun more dangerous and more lethal. They pull that shit. That's just a fact of owning a firearm and protecting yourself. It just is what it is. So this way I could say, no, I don't think I know more than CZ. That's why I had a licensed gunsmith do the work. And I didn't make it a race gun. It still had a heavy trigger pull. It was still safe. And that's why I got a hammer, double action, single action handgun, so that I wouldn't have an accidental discharge where I have a super light 2-pound trigger and all that. And it wasn't legal what I did, because all those parts you can buy legally in the state of Pennsylvania. And I can legally change those parts out to make it more comfortable for me to shoot at the range. But I am allowed to defend myself. And I am allowed to carry this firearm for self-protection. So no, I don't think I know more. And that's the argument. And they can't argue that fact. At least not in the state I live in. So that's why I'm having it done by a gunsmith. And not only just because of the laws, is because I don't know what I'm doing. And I don't want to, for one, I don't have the tools. And for another, I don't know what I'm doing. And I don't want to go try to do something that I'm not familiar or comfortable with and then mess something up. And now I have to pay to get the gun fixed. And then after it's fixed, have him upgrade it. That's just foolish. So that's what's going to happen with this firearm now that it's had about 500 rounds to it and it's run flawlessly. The only thing I haven't checked through it is hollow point ammunition, and that's only because I can't find any. That's at least a reasonable price for me to just go shoot holes in paper. It is what it is. So, I've never heard anybody having any problems, with this particular firearm, and I haven't had any problems either. But yeah, that's what's going to be happening, and I'll let you know, and I will do that trigger pull test with this again when after I get it all done and over. So this will be going for an upgrade, and then we'll take it from there, and I'll let you know how everything came out, and then we'll check reliability. It should all be fine. And I hear a lot of good things. You can pull up the reviews if you go to M. Carbo's site. People love it. They absolutely love it. It's the best thing that you can ever do for this firearm. So, all right, that's about it. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you soon. I'm also, just to throw this in, you've seen this before. Here's the new sights that'll be going on it as well. He'll do all this at the same time. So it'll have new sights and new internals and all that kind of stuff all at the same time. So it'll be like a whole brand new gun. So, all right, we'll see you in the next video. And when this all gets done, I'll do a video on it showing you how everything is afterwards. All right, thanks for watching. Bye-bye.